We're making chunky chain bracelet. It's actually working. Just keep on that hammer going. Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today is a very exciting jewelry making video because we're making chain. I actually had this sample for 3 years now because I recently found it in my sample drawer and I really wanted to make it at that time as well, but I didn't have thickness of the metal that I needed. And I was really thrilled to be reminded that I have a very beautiful chain links tested already and I just have to make it from silver. So today we're doing that. We're making chunky chain bracelet. A bit of stretching and hammering involved, so we have a bit of training as well, you know? It's always good to have that training with soldering, and chains is the best way you can get that. Because you always have to make a lot of jump rings to connect them the right way, to solder them the right way. And if you're doing stretching, it has to be soldered good. So yeah, I think it's enough of talking and let's get started. We're starting everything by wrapping some thick wire. We're working with 2mm thickness of the wire on 14 size of the punch, which means we have 14mm inside of the diameter here. We're working on 14. In the end, it will be 16. That's how it goes when we're working on a lot of tension when it comes to thicker wire. As you can tell from my wrapping, I have to put a lot of strength just to make it straight and wrap it around because you want as even coil as you can make. I was making more jump rings, so for me it was even harder. If we want to wrap just 6-7 jump rings, that's okay, it won't be that hard. For this exact bracelet, I needed just 6 jump rings, so it won't be that hard to wrap it around for sure. I would suggest to do that on a ring bender because you can do 6 easily. At that time, it didn't work for me because I was doing a few bracelets, so I had to use a bigger coil. When we have our jump rings ready, we have to connect them perfectly. When I say perfectly, it means perfectly. We don't want overlapping, we don't want any gapping, we want just flush as it can be. It is not easy to have flush when we have a bigger ring because we have bigger tension to work with. I have to announce that this video is sponsored by Rio Grande, which is a big jewelry supply store where you can find a lot of different tools or equipment or silver for your jewelry creations. And they're giving you a code with $20 off of your shipping price, so use it until we have it. Thank you, Rio Grande, for sponsoring this video. But if you don't want that gem, I would suggest anneal your jump rings before connecting them because you will take out of that restriction and you can work on that connection way easier. But of course, if metal gets soft, a restriction you have to create yourself again, so you have to play around with jump rings too. So it's just the preference how you like to work. I like to work on that tension with the metal, so for me, I do it that way. When you have a harder job to connect something, then you won't ruin the shape that much, if that makes sense. That's why I tend to go on that harder connection, but my shape keeps better. Okay, now it's the soldering part. If you will do a very good job with connection, you will get that solder going in so beautifully like you saw on this one. Because when we have that tension there and all is closed, we don't even need to use a lot of solder. And the cleaning part after will be so much easier as well because we need to just correct some parts where the solder was too much or we overheat someplace and it splashed somewhere, then we have to clean that up. But if we're doing the best job that we can in that soldering station, cleaning part, it's very easy. And if I don't need to remove a lot of solder, I don't even use a file. I'm just using 1000 grit wet and dry paper. And for the inside, I'm using my half round file, which is extremely fine file. I'm just moving around and kind of burnishing everything while removing my solder. So I'm not even deshaping my jump ring. I'm just keeping the same shape, but I'm just removing the solder. Now we reach the shaping part, which is the most fun part, I would say, in the whole process. What is happening here? We're just playing with hardness of the metal. So it's like we're hardening the metal and then we are coming back to that round shape, but it's not coming back exactly in that round shape. It just can't go round anymore because in some parts metal is hardened and in some parts it's still soft. That's how we get creative because we get kind of different outcome each time. I would say we're getting that organic look, that cool one, but we still keep the structure going because I want to get a bit of that organic view, which makes your piece cooler. But I don't want to lose that structure when I'm creating my jewelry. So that view, I like. It's a good mix. We're basically repeating all the process. I'm just showing you a few jump rings, how we're actually getting different outcome, but we still keep that ovally shape going. And if you mess up, just, use your vise wisely and make it straight again with your vise and correct as you go. Now you can see how much of actual action going when I'm squeezing those jump rings. Now it's the hammering part. I involved hammering in this one because I wanted even more of that organic view. In few corners, I'm using hammer to create that hammering texture. And then I'm turning sides and do the same hammering to the other side. That when the bracelet will be moving around, we would get the same view. We need closer view, so I'm bringing you closer that you can see what's happening. It's not easy to hit every time on your jump ring because it tries to slip away, but here it's kind of, you can't make mistake, because when that hammer slips to the side, it makes that texture there and it looks even more organic, I would say. For this one, it's actually working. So just keep on that hammer going, I truly love hammering texture. It just brings whole new world to your piece, whole new shine. The way it shines, it's outstanding, really. It's the most beautiful texture for silver. I just really can't get enough of it. That's why I hammer and shape my pieces with hammers as well, because it's just all about how that light hits the surface. Just all about that. Okay, now we need to connect our big jump rings. This coil I made from 1.27 millimeter thickness, so it would be around 16 gauge. And I did that on 4.5 millimeter jump ring mandrel. We will use 2 jump rings for each connection because, I don't know, it seemed cooler that way, just to have that more structured view. Connection is extremely important here. We don't want to splash solder somewhere. We want to solder just our jump rings. So connection is the key. Take your time. It takes time to truly get a good connection with jump rings. Just don't expect that it's a quick job to do because it's not. Be patient, work with your pliers. More you work with that, better you get to the sense where you do that job more efficient. But it's still, it still takes a lot of time sometimes to make that good connection, but it's all worthy. Trust me. You don't mess around with soldering station. Everything goes very beautifully. Like, look at that. Here I'm pointing my solder balls just in those seams where I need them to be. Usually I put more of them at once just to have that heat spreading everywhere. For this occasion I can use my bigger torch because I still haven't filled my gas tank and I'm just still playing with bigger torch, so you have to find ways how to work basically. So this is how I work. Of course, if we need to heat up some certain jump ring, we can use third hands, but if we don't, why to mess with that? We can just, you know, lay the piece and play with the heat. Now when everything is soldered, we need to clean our jump rings as well, the same way how we cleaned our bigger ones. I'm using the same wet and dry paper with 1000 grit. I'm using files where I need them. After filing, I make sure I'm using 1000 grit again, just to not have those marks of the file. Even though it's very fine file, it still leaves marks. You want that uniform, beautiful view, so 1000 grit is like perfect choice to blur, And after all that sanding, we are ready to polish. For that, I'm choosing Tripoli and Rouge, one of the harshest compounds, because I want to get that uniformed even more. Because Tripoli will make all those tiny micro lines away from your piece. The way you will move your piece into that wheel will determine how that piece will be looking like. Always go with the lowest speed on your machine and don't go with your pieces under the wheel because it will flip it out and either you will ruin that or get injured. So we don't want that. That's why usually when I'm coming to the wheel, I'm coming to the side. And voila, we have a very shiny, beautiful bracelet. I took it from the tumbler. We have a finished piece and it's looking stunning. It truly looks so cool, you know? Like, it does look cool. I can show you to put that on. I'm excited to put that on, actually. Just try it out. And you know, like even on the wrist, it's just like so smooth and it's so comfortable when it's sliding on my hand. It really feels very good. The weight is perfect, like really, it is perfect. You know, with closure, you have to be pretty cautious that we wouldn't lose our bracelet and that part wouldn't be too long as well. That would be like digging or something. If you're interested how to do that closure, I can do a separate video about it. Just let me know in the comments and I will do that video for you. And yeah, I think we're done here. Ask me questions if you have some, or maybe suggestions for this channel as well. And yeah, I hope you like it. And I will see you in my next one.